Hello everyone, Prince12 here with another review of Star Wars Ahsoka. This will be over episodes 3 and 4 since I did not do an individual video for each of these because I kind of got distracted by life stuff. That and a lot of video editing for stuff that's going to be coming up pretty soon. So yeah, Ahsoka. Next two episodes. So we lots of developments in these two episodes. Episode 3, lots of cool space battle stuff. I like the training montage at the beginning with Sabine and Ahsoka and Huang with like the holographic lightsabers or whatever to help practice saber forms. That was really cool. I liked that. Some New Republic bureaucracy stuff going on. Mon Mothma is very interesting to include here after Andor. And her continued inclusion in Andor when season 2 finally comes out, when the actors and writers strike ends and stuff. I'm curious what they're doing, what they're going to do with her, because she's very instrumental in getting the alliance started and everything. But then, judging by how everything turns out, her leadership as the Chancellor of the New Republic doesn't exactly end well, because Hosnian Prime gets poofed thanks to the First Order and stuff, and they take over the galaxy. So and it's part of her ineffectual leadership style that that leads to all that. So there was a very interesting look that she gave. It's like, this is probably one of the things I find most fascinating with these episodes of Mon Mothma, ironically. But like, there was a look she gave when Senator Ziono, screw that guy, by the way, when he and the other couple senators were kind of hemming and hawing about giving Hera support and everything. And the look on Mon Mothma's face was, I'm afraid that I'm seeing history repeating itself here. And that's very interesting. So I wonder if they're going to try to weave the narrative going forward. It's like, it's less Mon Mothma's ineffectual leadership style and more just it was impossible for anyone to really wrangle a lot of these kind of ambivalent senators, that these wealthy bureaucrats that just don't really care who's in charge as long as they get their money and blah 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 and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where that goes, because this could very well be Mon Mothma's one and only appearance in the show. But it does kind of feel like it's leading to something more, or in the larger Star Wars narrative as a whole. So I'm really interested in that. It's cool to see Jason Syndulla. It's like he's got green hair, which we were worried he wasn't going to have green hair because of the Lego set that's out for the Ghost now, because he doesn't have green hair in that. So that's kind of cool to see that he does have green hair, and he's got Kanan's shoulder pauldron on, or at least one that's decorated the same style, which is really cool. Chopper essentially being the babysitter, I think, is funny. Built-in best friend droid buddy. Be interesting to see what Chopper thinks of Jason. I'm sure he loves the kid since he's Hera's, but be interesting. So let's see here. I mentioned the space battle stuff. Ahsoka in the spacesuit on the shuttle wing, deflecting blasts with her lightsaber. That was really cool. I liked that. And then, yeah, that was really kind of it for my thoughts on the third episode. Of course, it's been like 2 weeks since I've seen it now, so it is kind of it's like, yeah, I kind of probably should have maybe gotten around to doing a full review of that one, so I would maybe have more to say. But at the same time, I'm like, well, hold on, it's only been 2 weeks, and these are the things that stuck with me. So I guess I really didn't have too much to say about it. Even though it's like it's definitely good. And then the next episode, just really, really awesome, really, really cool. Lightsaber fights left and right. I love that Marok is just some random dude. Like, maybe he's a reanimated Night Brother or something, where it's like he has like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. He looks cool, and then he immediately gets killed off. Very Star Wars when you think about it. But I like that he is just this random mook that's there to be taken out. He's just a goon. He's not really meant to be anyone important. Of course, a lot of people were going, "Oh, is he Star Killer?" Because we know Sam Witwer was working on this, and so it's like Sam Witwer is in like every major Star Wars project post. I think Rogue One. I think he's like background voices in like all of them when he's not playing like Maul. So yeah, okay, Sam Witwer is in it, but they get some of the voice actors from the animated shows to be in a lot of these things. So, because Sam Witwer was in Andor as the sand trooper or the shore trooper that arrests, Cassian on that beach planet. That was him. Of course, he's in Rogue One as the guy that yells "Open fire" during the Vader hallway scene. So I mean, he pops up here and there. So him being listed in additional voices, um, in the credits for Ahsoka episode 3 or whatever, it's like, not. I don't think that's a big deal. So it's like, so yeah, it's like I never really bought the idea of Marok being anyone important or this big reveal. It's like there's already, and I think there was already enough going on with this show in terms of the plot and the characters, that it's like having him being someone it's like, ooh, he's actually Star Killer and here's why he's important. That'd be too much. And I think Dave Filoni's doing a very good job balancing things pretty well and such. Kind of figuring out how to do all that. So I'm pleased with it thus far. So yeah, the lightsaber fights were really cool. I love the different styles they're showcasing. It's it's like Balin Skull, especially, with his lightsaber being more like a great big old, medieval knight's giant broadsword or something, rather than the more nimble katana-like lightsaber that we're typically used to. Where it's there's a lot of quick actions and stuff. That it's really cool to see a lot of heft behind one of these things, and it's clearly got a big, longer, larger blade. That's really cool, and it kind of seeing him fight with Ahsoka, it really does help recontextualize stuff that I saw earlier, because it was the first episode where they boarded the New Republic ship and broke Morgan Elsbeth out of custody, where the way he was moving his lightsaber to block the blaster shots, watching it in the trailer, I kind of went, that looks kind of funny. That's not how that typically looks. I wonder why that is. It's like, and so my kind of fear at the time when the teaser dropped and I saw that, I was like, it looks almost kind of fan fictiony. When it's like where a bunch of people know how to run After Effects and they make a bad Star Wars fan film in the woods or something, but they don't, and so they're just kind of moving their arms around willy nilly, and they're putting the effects in afterward, and there's not really any coordination or training behind the scenes with a stunt coordinator or anything to make that look plausible and realistic. So that was kind of my first initial thoughts, like, oh no, they just told him to wave the lightsaber around and make it look cool. But now, but then it looked better in the final episode, because there was much more. It wasn't those quick cut choppy scenes. We saw like the whole thing of him marching down the hallway, because everyone gets a hallway scene nowadays, and that looked way more natural and stuff, but it was still different. I was still like, that is still a very different style. And now we know more about why that is, because he just has a very different type of fighting style compared to other Jedi that we've seen. It wouldn't surprise me if his fighting style is more in line with like the Jedi Temple Guards from Clone Wars or something. That would not surprise me at all. Considering he's got a bigger blade. So yeah, that's all cool. Loving Sabine and Ezra's Sabine and Ahsoka's interactions. I'm warming up to Rosario Tano more. Especially with the little thing with Huang at the beginning of the 4th episode, where he's like, well, I think you two should stick together. And then they both kind of go, okay, this is us leaving together. It's like that little kind of snarky. That was very younger Ahsoka, and I and I liked that. It's like she was still a little bit more subdued, but that's just the older, mature Ahsoka at this point, I think. So, and so now that we're seeing more of her in action, I am starting to be won over more and more, which I kind of thought would be the case of what would happen with that. Then I thought the detail interesting about confirming that Sabine's family is dead following the Great Purge on Mandalore was interesting. And it made sense. That was not necessarily surprising, but confirmation about what exactly happened was nice. Of course, but because it's off screen, that could be a bait and switch. They're gonna yoink that on, and they're gonna yoink that away from us, and they're gonna go. It's like, well, actually, they went into hiding with this other Mandalorian clan, and they didn't come out until Bo-Katan reunites everyone. But I mean, those are not. I mean, the rest of Sabine's family, I don't think, are necessarily as important characters that they necessarily have to make a comeback. So them being dead off screen, I don't think is a huge deal. Her connection with Ezra and Hera and Zeb and the rest of the Ghost crew, that is much more prescient to this particular story that they're telling, especially with you think that Ezra's like the last family you have left. So I am kind of interested to see what it's like, because I'm assuming they are going to find Ezra. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they're going to pull, because it seems like the way they're building it right now is that it's going to be Sabine's going to have to choose between the greater good and being a Jedi and her personal attachment to Ezra. And what's the lesson there? So, which of course is she going to have to learn the same lesson Ezra had to in Rebels, where he sacrificed himself and had to remove himself from his found family at the end of Rebels to save Lothal, and through that the galaxy at large, because the TIE Defender program was shut down thanks to it. So it's like, is that going to be the lesson she has to? Because it seems like maybe that's the lesson she's going to learn here, but it's like, how are they going to do that? Because I don't know. I feel like if the lesson here that Dave's going, it's like, yeah, sacrifice your friends and family for the greater good. No, you don't get Ezra back after all. You get to be sad and lonely forever, but be content and okay with that, and not necessarily sad. And it's like, I don't think that would necessarily go over well, and I don't think that's like the one of the core. Star Wars has never really been that, so I don't know. It's like, but I mean, this could be a turn it on its head thing, where Ahsoka is where, I mean, this could easily play more into Ahsoka's arc throughout the show, is that she is so caught up in, and kind of a reflection of where Luke is in, say, The Last Jedi. Please don't, downvote the video into oblivion just because I said those three words back to back. Kind of an echo of episode 8, where it's like, this could be a good lesson for Ahsoka to learn, where it's like, she's so closed off because everything that, it's like her master was more, lovey-dovey is not the right word, but, more emotional, more attached than another Jedi master would have been. And so she kind of learned at an early age that some form of attachments are okay. And she believed that for, however long she was under Anakin's tutelage, for like 2 or 3 years. And then she gets slapped in the face hard with cold, harsh reality when her best friends turn on her and try to kill her. And she has to watch them all die as the ship that they're on explodes when it impacts the surface of the planet that they got sucked in the gravity well of. And she's forced to bury all of them with these men that she served with for 3 years. And so then, from then on out, because it seems like she's been kind of a loner and isolated. So I think it could very well be possible that, it's like where it's Ahsoka trying to teach Sabine a lesson, but then Sabine's familial connection with Ezra and them coming together again teaches Ahsoka a lesson that being alone isn't necessarily the best thing. Now that I've kind of talked it out with myself, that's probably the direction we're moving in. Just because it's like, I mean, it's so she pops up in Rebels and stuff, but she's always on her own. It's like, she finds Rex, but it's not. But she knew where Rex was. She could have sought Rex out at any other time, but she does not seek Rex out until it becomes strategically beneficial for the Rebel Alliance. And even then, she doesn't go herself. She sends Kanan, Ezra, Zeb, and Sabine to go find Rex, Wolf, and Gregor. So even then, she was still kind of running from personal attachments, but then emotions get the better of her. She has to wrap Rex in that great big old hug that brings a tear to my eye every time I see it. But then of course, then there's the whole, it's like, do you know what I've become? It's like, I thought Anakin, it's like, if you are who I think you are, then, you could never do what you're saying. It's like Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. It's like revenge is not the, slash lightsaber fight, world between worlds. It's like all of that building up to where we find Ahsoka now. Yeah, I think she's definitely kind of isolated herself for a long, long time now. And maybe this, master apprentice relationship she has with Sabine, and seeing Sabine with her family, with Ezra and Hera and Chopper and hopefully Zeb coming back in, and finding that connection, seeing shades of, yes, I used to have something like that a long, long time ago. Maybe it's time for me to stop being such an outcast. I think maybe that's the direction they're moving forward with. And that's kind of the big lesson from Rebels in terms of, this is how Jedi should be. Yes, they should be selfless and everything, but that doesn't necessarily mean that attachments are wrong. And because like Kanan and Ezra both used their attachments to their advantage instead of hoarding them and coveting them to the point where it corrupted them, like, say, Anakin Skywalker. So yeah, it's like kind of a, Filoni's storytelling on his own, not necessarily on his own, because he was, there were other writers attached to Rebels. He was the executive producer or whatever. So it's like, he was the guiding force. He was the George Lucas for that show. But like Simon Kinberg and a bunch of other writers wrote for that show. But you know what I mean? It's like, the Filoni-led storytelling definitely is all about attachments are good. Attachments can be good. Which is an interesting inverse to what, I was about to say, which is an inverse to what Lucas's storytelling usually is, which is attachments are bad. But that's just the prequel era, and that's showing how attachments can be bad if you make them this bad thing. Where meanwhile, the original trilogy is all attachments are good. So really, it's like, because they're used in a better way. It's like made to. So yeah, that's really interesting. Going into it's always interesting going into a deep dive of the storytelling and the deeper meaning of Star Wars. It's not just shooty bang bang, explosions, lasers, and ships flying around. It does have this deeper meaning, even if ultimately it is easy stuff to grasp. But even then, sometimes it can. People can miss the forest for the trees, so to speak. So yeah. And so then, of course, we end episode 4 with Ahsoka in the world between worlds and what appears to be Anakin Skywalker. Now, this is going back to the whole Sam Witwer thing. This is another theory people have, is that this is not Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost. This is actually the embodiment of the sun from Mortis. And we're going to meet the Mortis gods again, because they get mentioned like once every 10 years. And we're about due again, almost, for the Mortis gods to get referenced again. And it would make sense, it's like, explore the connection between Mortis and the world between worlds, and etc. So yeah. So how's that gonna work? Is this? But Anakin Skywalker being the chosen one, being so powerful naturally in the Force and everything, maybe this is his actual spirit, and he's connecting to Ahsoka through the Force to help her on her journey. But it's like, I can only help you so far. I can't leave this realm. or something like that. So, and then maybe we'll get some flashbacks to Clone Wars or something. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's but I said in my first review for the first 2 episodes, I'm like, I would be happy if we never touched the World Between Worlds again. And then here we are, end of episode 4, and we're doing the World Between Worlds. So we'll have to see how that all turns out. But yeah, no, I'm very much liking the show so far. Last little thing I will mention that I think they're doing really well before I go is I really, 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 really like the kind of combination of elements from the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, where it has that original trilogy aesthetic, but then the behavior and of the characters and kind of the storytelling, and then in like the way certain things look, it's like I get a lot of prequel vibes from like the manner of the storytelling. It's like, and when I say prequels, I don't just mean the 3 films, I mean the whole era. It's like that includes Clone Wars and such, where I do get more of the old timey Jedi idea of what the Jedi, like the beginning of Phantom Menace, where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, go to the Trade Federation blockade, and they walked in and they're deemed as they're these like, oh my gosh, it's Jedi Knights, this is ridiculous, it's crazy. And the Trade Federation starts to freak out, and they're in the robes and everything, and they're treated as a big deal. I'm getting a lot of vibes from this, and it's with like Balin sitting on that rock with the hood over his head just for dramatic effect. Like he's had it off this entire episode, and then suddenly he puts it back on to wait for Ahsoka when it's not raining or anything. So he's just doing this to be dramatic, which I can appreciate. I like that. Ray Stevenson, I'm really, it's like I haven't seen him in a whole bunch. It's been just like Thor. The he was wasted in like all of them, really. I kind of, it's like I enjoyed him. He was fun in 1 and 2, but then I really thought, oh man, he was wasted in 3. I wanted to see more of the Warriors 3. And it's a shame they just kind of got cast off like that. But it's like seeing him in this show, it's like, oh wow, yeah, they really wasted him a lot. So unfortunate. But yeah, I do like the kind of mix of styles where it's more prequel era storytelling with an original trilogy aesthetic. I do really like that, and even then, it's like all the cockpit scenes in the in the T6 shuttle, that gives me a lot of Attack of the Clones vibes from being inside Padme's shuttle on Tatooine. Like it's like, Anakin, relay this message to Coruscant. While I get attacked by a droideka. So it's kind of the punching buttons, and you're like digging around for loose wires to jumpstart stuff, like in Phantom Menace. That's stuff that we didn't necessarily see in great detail in, say, the original. It's like Leia and Han and Chewie were trying to fix the Falcon in Empire, but it's like they never were like digging underneath the dashboard and stuff like we saw in the prequels a little bit. So it's like just some of those small little details feel kind of prequely, and I'd appreciate that mixed in with the largely original trilogy aesthetic, with like the rebel ships and seeing X-wings flying around and stuff. And Carson Teva's back! Yay, Carson Teva! He's like the Agent Coulson of the Disney Plus stuff right now. So yeah, very interested to see where this all moves forward to, and I am very eagerly awaiting Thrawn to finally return. So I'm actually going to be upset if we only get him in like 1 episode for like 15 minutes and that's it. And then they leave us with like to be continued or something like that. Or worse, he dies. I don't think they're going to do that. It's like, aha, Thrawn comes back and, bait and switch, going to subvert your expectations. Thrawn dies. It's like a random Nogri named Rook Jr. shows up and stabs him, and he goes, oh, but it was so artfully done, and he just dies on the floor. That would honestly suck. It's like, come on, what a waste. But anyway, I don't think they're going to do that. But so, yeah. That's pretty much it for episodes 3 and 4. Again, sorry with the delay. Got caught up with a bunch of stuff going on, and couldn't find the time to do these, unfortunately, but hopefully I'll be back with week to week now. So, if not, then I'll just probably do 2 at a time again, but we will see. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are in the description below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.